Welcome everyone to Tell Me About Yourself, where students who are passionate about the arts, like me, can learn what it is really like to work in the arts. My name is Angelina Medina, and I am a sophomore majoring in art history and Spanish. I am also an arts ambassador, and I will be your host today. Today, my special guest is Colleen Cash, the Director of Auctions at Artnet and a Hunter alumnus. She will be telling us about her professional journey in the commercial art world. So, can you tell me about your career path and what led you to your role as the Director of Auctions at Artnet?
Absolutely. And first and foremost, Angelina, thank you so much for having me join you today. I'm sorry we can't be together at 68th Street. I know it's wild times. But when I'm asked about my career path, I have to start at the beginning, which was at Hunter College. I am a member of the class of 2015. I was a Muse Scholar, I was a JFU Scholar, a Cooperman Scholar. I really got to know those halls of the Hunter College's campus, and I experienced a lot of really formative classes, clubs, experiences that set me on the path in the art world I'm in today. Like many Hunter students, when I started my time as a freshman, I wanted to be a doctor. I was a pre-med student on an art scholarship. And throughout a series of experiences, one of which was being a part of the mentoring program at the school, I realized it wasn't so much for me. And Hunter gave me the opportunity to take bio and chemistry and to take art history and architecture. I e-permitted some courses at Baruch. And over that period of experience, classes, internships, and self-realizations, really, I realized the arts were where I needed to be. So when I think I was a sophomore, a rising sophomore, I cold applied to an internship at Christie's. And I actually got the email that I had been accepted for an interview, and I was in my aesthetic philosophy class in Hunter West. I was, of course, checking my phone during class, which you should not do, but it was a worthwhile email to check. And I walked into the galleries at Christie's, which is, in the center of Rockefeller Center. And I just took to auction like a duck to water, but it wasn't a straight path. When I was a Hunter student, I took internships in the New York City Council, in Governor Andrew Cuomo's office. And I really explored, and it was a series of deductions of sort of saying what I don't like that really led me to my path of what I do like. So I interned at Christie's, and again, being a Hunter student allowed me to be an intern while I went to school. It was a tremendous experience. I used to, go right from class to an auction in the evening. I realized I loved this industry. It combined for me a whole series of what I was interested in, which was business, economics, art, and psychology, why people like art. And that's what I was going to do when I was on a pre-med track. I wanted to be a psychiatrist who studied sort of catharsis and what that meant from a biomedical perspective. And that internship turned into a full-time job. So I graduated in the January graduation ceremony in 2015, and I got the call that I got my first full-time job at Christie's in the taxi home with my parents. And it was just the most amazing set of circumstances. And from there, I have been, 5 years in, I am, a director of a 23-person company at a global organization, and I run a fine art business. And it was all because I had the opportunity to explore at Hunter that I am where I am today.
That's awesome. Would you like to expand on why you specifically chose to work in this industry?
Sure. It was one of those things that started out as something I really wanted to try, and then it just became self-evident. So when I joined Christie's, and for those that are interested in the arts and art history, when you look at the commercial side of the business, there's two tracks you can be on. One is a specialist, and that's where you develop an expertise in a specific subject area. Perhaps it's contemporary art, photographs, old master paintings, jewelry, and there's a business side. And the business side administrates the sales, the deals, the contracts, the HR management of the art world. This is true in galleries. This is true at advisors and dealers. And it's also true in the museum and nonprofit setting as well, where you have art departments, and then you have the administrative staff as well. And when I joined Christie's, I was a client advisory intern. And what that allowed me to do was it allowed me to be cross-category. And I worked with a group of women whose roles it were to facilitate transactions of ultra high net worth clients. So on any given day, I was facilitating client relationship management for any number of art categories. Sometimes it would be a jewelry sale, sometimes it would be a furniture sale, sometimes it would be a car or a bottle of wine. And I got to know so many people in so many departments. And I realized that I wanted to stay in that category because I was not an art historian. I took one art history class at Hunter, that's it. But I was a business person. And I loved the work I did in the policy world. I loved the work I did with the Cooperman Scholarship. And I realized there's a whole set of jobs in the art world that are not for those who are, the art history side of things. You can be a lawyer in the arts, an accountant. You can be, a manager like I am, a finance person, a tech person. They need all of these roles. So for me, I love the opportunity to do financial management, economic planning, and I also get to see art all day, every day, because it's administrating the business around these beautiful objects. And it helps, I've also learned a lot of art history around the way, but what I've really been able to do is carve out for myself an expertise in an area that either requires a lot of knowledge and schooling, right? Like PhDs in art history typically are a minimum for curators at major organizations. And likewise, on the specialist side at galleries, if you're going to be a director, a sales director, or a specialist at an auction house, you need to know what you're talking about. And as the business side, you need to have the ability to communicate with people effectively. You need to know numbers, and you need to know how to manage. And for me, finding that path and sort of bringing all of the courses I had taken, the internships I had taken, allowed me to bridge everything. And it was its own sort of intersection between art and business. And as a Hunter student, I did not know what major I wanted to be. I was a Thomas Hunter Honor Scholar, so I made my own major. And that has been a common theme in my career, which is I never want to be one thing. I want to have the ability to be many things. And my role allows me to do that today at Artnet.
Right, that's amazing how you were able to mix art and business into your major and then into your career. So what are the biggest rewards about the work that you do?
I think the biggest rewards in the work that I do, it's funny, I would have answered this differently maybe before the coronavirus pandemic, which would have been connecting amazing works of art to amazing clients. And that means any number of things. On any given day, I am approving financial deals because artworks can be very expensive. There's a lot of money involved in negotiation. I can be managing a client concern. Artworks get damaged. You need them restored. You need them conserved. I do a lot of that. Dealing with shippers, dealing with lawyers. I love taking a problem and finding the solution. But when the coronavirus pandemic hit, and normally I would be in an art-filled background, but like everyone, we're working from home. My job really became that of a manager as well. And with our team, again, it's 23 people. And at this point, we're across the globe and the country, given that everyone has sort of been sheltering in place and locking down to stay safe. Getting to work with such amazing people for a shared goal, which maybe that's an auction or a private sale, still under the guise of collecting great art to great clients. But being able to do it with a team that bats 1,000 every single day, even when we can't be together, has been incredibly rewarding. And one piece of advice I can offer to anyone thinking about a career in the arts or any other industry is find your tribe. Find a group of people who you actually want to spend time with, because that's the reality of a job. Even when you're doing it from home, you are spending a lot of time with each other, and you need to have trust and open communication. And that is a hugely rewarding part of my job today.
Right. And then what would you say are the biggest challenges about the work that you do?
Sure. There are many challenges. You know, the art industry is one that has flown under the radar for a long time. In many instances, it was either highly academic. So you have the museums, you have the curators, you have those sort of ivory tower institutions that see art not as a static sort of industry, but as one that is very exalted and very ivory tower. And then you have the nitty gritty art world, which depending on who you ask, has many different perceptions. Sometimes some people think it's just sums of money being flown around. Other people, you know, think it's a lot of wheeling and dealing. And also, you know, where are the artists in all of this, right? A lot of the art world is past the point of the artist studio. And there's a big push right now to bring the artist more meaningfully into the conversation. So I think that's a challenge, trying to find, you know, that sort of moral compass when you're in a commercial business, because you want to still do good. And back to your earlier question of what's the most rewarding part of my job, this year with everything that's been going on with Black Lives Matter and the virus, we have done a number of really fantastic initiatives where we actually held sales in benefit of the Martha P. Johnson Institute in New York to benefit, you know, people of color and LGBTQIA people of color. And also with artist Hank Willis Thomas's foundation, which supports the rights of transgender sex workers. So for me, it's been how do we stay culturally sensitive and relevant and be mindful of the fact that we're running a business. And also I would say for the art world, what's also happening, because it has been such an academic industry, is that there's more and more regulation happening in this industry. And I'm not a lawyer by any means, but something I've developed in my time as a business person in the art world is a set of skills that allow me to read a contract, to draft a contract, and to create terms and conditions that are legally compliant and protect both our clients and the business. So when you're in an industry that is about to have a lot of scrutiny put on it, you have to, as a business person, be very proactive in building your business to sort of continue to sail smoothly through regulation.
Right. There are definitely a lot of things to consider at all stages. So what is your advice for students that want to specifically work in the commercial art world?
I would tell students to explore, let me rephrase, to be uncompromising in what they want. Because I think when you look at the art world, if you don't come from a family that was a collecting family or have ties to it, it can feel very hard to reach. It can feel that it is, you know, there's sort of a toll to get in. And that's not the case. I do not come from that world at all. My parents, I still have to explain to them what I do sometimes, which is always sort of funny. But I would really encourage students to build their hard business skill set to whatever degree they can, because the path to a career in the art world, absolutely, you can take art history courses, arts administration courses, and see that path forward. But do not be afraid if you're an accounting major, or if you're an economics major, or a chemistry major, to back into the art world that way either. You know, you are your own best advocate. And if you can spin your experience to be relevant to a job, this is true of the art world and outside of the art world, it's absolutely possible. I mean, for me, I took New York City Council experience, I took lab experience, and I framed that into an art world career. So I would encourage students to see any experience as potentially relevant experience and to not say no to opportunities. You know, I think the art world is very much, you know, the most important people you can become friends with at a gallery or at an auction house are the art handlers. They're the people who are going to help you in a pinch. When you have a client viewing coming, you have a senior specialist nervous, you know, there's a deadline, we have to get this perfect. Don't be afraid of learning the back end tools, right? You might want to be a curator one day. You might want to be an arts administrator one day. Helping to set up a view or understanding what goes into unframing a photograph. Those are skills that will help you in that front end job. So taking that no task too small mentality in your early days will absolutely set you up for success.
Thank you for all of your great and very thoughtful responses. You heard it all, folks. I hope all of you found this session just as helpful as I did. So see all of you soon.
Thanks so much.
Yay.
I hope that was okay.
That was perfect.
I thought it went great.
Excellent.